In a second.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello. How's it going?
Yeah, well, as you can see, I've had to come home because the office was just too hectic because Liz Truss has called it a day after, 44 days in office, which makes her the
Yeah, she's
shortest.
only had 44 of them.
Yeah,
So, and
well,
none
I
of them
mean,
were particularly good days.
well, the Queen died on her third day in office, and then we had 10 days of mourning. So
Yeah.
realistically, she's only actually been in power and doing things for about 30 odd days. So
Yeah,
yeah,
just over 30 days properly in power. And she achieved something. She got the policing bill through that is massive draconian crackdown and protests. So don't say that you can't do anything with just 30 days. You can do some horrible things.
yeah, the draconian powers in that policing bill are pretty insane. They'll probably be there to stay as well now. I mean, the cracking down on the protests. But I mean, we're going to have a new prime minister in a week now. That's
Yeah,
what she
that's
said
what.
in her resignation. What's the process for that, Hamish?
So Graham Brady was speaking to reporters this afternoon. He said that there will be a leadership election that will finish by Friday, the 28th of October. So that's next Friday. And he expects that to include both members and Tory MPs as well. So similar to the last one, but just in a very, very condensed space of time. And I would imagine probably a bit of a coronation rather than a proper hard fought contest as the last one was. I think that they'll probably try and find someone as a kind of I mean, that would make sense for them to find someone as a stability candidate. Although there has been suggestions that Suella Braverman might run for the right of the party, and yeah,
I mean, she certainly wasn't slow on putting herself forward last time, was she, Braverman? But I mean, it does beg the question. I mean, we had the same problems that are bearing down on the UK now, skyrocketing inflation. I mean, it hit 10%, above 10% the other day. We've got energy bills. They've taken away the 2 year protection. So from April, we're going to be looking at up to $5,000 a year for a typical household's energy bills. The war in Ukraine is still ongoing. It's not like these problems have gone away. And they're the same
yeah,
problems that were bearing down on us in July. But
and
in
I think
July, the
that
Tory party saw fit to take 2 months. They took longer to choose Liz Truss than she has been in power.
yeah,
Why are they now deciding to do it in a week? If they were perfectly capable of doing this now, it was perfectly doable in July, and they're still taking the country for a ride. Really, it's
I think
appalling.
the survival instinct wasn't as sharp in July as it is now. They know that they're on very shaky ground, and I think that with the aftermath of Boris Johnson, I think they had a bit more time, and it would probably allow a successor to appear more legitimate in some way, some kind of convoluted way, than just getting someone banged into office
I mean,
basically within a week.
it's really insulting. It really is. Douglas Ross has come out and said that Liz Truss has made the right decision in
Yeah,
resigning. But Douglas Ross can always identify the right decision once someone else has taken it. Always. I mean, what's this going to mean for the Scottish Conservatives? Really, do we think?
I think probably nothing in the immediate term.
Do you not
I
think? Do you
mean,
not think Ross's position must be on shaky ground now?
I
I
think they're
mean,
probably looking at him and thinking that he is, you know, completely devoid of any principle. But I also think that they will be looking at him and asking themselves the very legitimate question of who's going to replace him. And there was talk of kind of moves against him, wasn't there? But that sort of internecine fighting between factions is something we would expect more from Labour in opposition from the Tories, maybe. But particularly in Scotland, where you only really need to be able to sort of, you know, be the party standing up for the union rather than actually achieving anything. So I think for them, I don't know. I mean, I could see him just kind of hanging about for a while longer. I think they're saying, well, what's the point? What's the point in replacing him, really?
It will. If Ross is out on his hide by Christmas, which I think I wouldn't be surprised if he was, and they have a general election, he's already said he's going to stand down as an MP. So he could end up a backbench MSP, having been 2 years ago a minister in the Scotland office. Like,
yeah,
the career trajectory for Douglas Ross has been appalling. But he is still currently the leader of the Scottish Conservatives and still currently an MP.
he is, yes.
But can we see him taking over as Prime Minister? Shock candidate?
Yeah, shock unity candidate. Bring the Scots really to the heart of the union. That'd be fun. We should ask him.
Well, who can we see? Who is in the run-in?
I would imagine Penny Mordaunt. I think Penny Mordaunt would be someone that, there were. I think it was Liz Truss's team during the leadership election were putting out kind of nasty briefings about her in the press, saying she was incompetent and she was a bit useless. But I think you saw her at the dispatch box earlier this week. She's a pretty confident performer in the Commons. I mean, I think she's also probably viewed as being quite moderate within the party as well. So probably a move away from the really fierce ideologies of Boris and of Truss and into sort of more kind of wishy-washy, kind of technocratic, just kind of, because basically, I mean, I don't think that anyone, well, you never know with these things, but I don't think that anyone's really suggesting seriously that the Tories are going to win the next election. And I think probably what they want to do is, at this stage in the game, minimise the damage that Labour's going to do. I think those polls and those seat projections, are the problems with the seat projections we were talking about, but I think that sea of red just completely taken over England will have probably sharpened their minds about what can actually happen to a party.
It's really remarkable. A massive 80-seat majority, and not even 3 years ago, that 80-seat majority. They were handed a mandate by the UK public. Yes, okay, not by Scotland or Wales. But, well, not really. But massive majority they had to do whatever they like, sweeping changes they could have made.
And they actually do, and whether we were saying, we don't like a lot of the things that they've done, but that was what people voted for. They voted for, pretty hard right border policies. They voted for, this kind of vague levelling up agenda. They voted to fundamentally get Brexit done, and all of those things delivered, and just all of that political goodwill, all of it completely and utterly squandered. You think about the sort of bounce that you get from a moment of like national unity, like the death of a monarch, and you can become a real rallying figure for the country to get behind. You deliver some absolutely wet 5-minute speech on the steps of Downing Street, and then the minute the country gets back to normal, people are thinking, and it's quite a good thing as well. You get like a period of being Prime Minister without actually being Prime Minister. You don't actually have to do anything difficult. You can just kind of make nice platitudes.
She definitely seemed to have fun following King Charles about the Four Nations, didn't she?
Yeah, exactly. So you've got all that kind of easy press appearances. People just, and then within weeks of that, you just completely shoot all of your political credibility, all of your economic credibility, your party's credibility, your party's unity, and then you're out of a job within 44 days. The next shortest serving Prime Minister was George Canning, who died in 1872, and he died in office of tuberculosis after about 100 days or something like that. So even with tuberculosis, he lasted a good 60 more. That's like 2 more months than Liz Truss did.
Well, the consequences of this are just surely for the Tory party, they're going to be locked out of power for another decade now. Surely, Starmer's looking more and more like a Blair in terms of he probably will be there for 10 long years.
Yeah,
but Starmer's problem, realistically, the SNP's problem, everybody's problem in the whole bloody UK, is how can we get a general election? How can it happen without the Tories' support? And the
I don't
Tories
think there is.
pass the general election where they're all going to lose their own seats.
Well, you saw Jake Berry, and you saw who's the chairman of the Conservative Party, and you saw Graham Brady coming in, who's chairman of the 1922 committee, this kind of shop steward for Tory MPs, coming into number 10 today, and that will be, I would think the pitch that they made to Liz Truss today is, if you don't go now or within a month's time, maybe. There was talk that the Graham Brady was saying hang on for a month. Well, then maybe the economic situation kind of calms down a little bit. But I think Jake Berry's take was you should go immediately. But I think the pitch they will have made to her is definitely, like, if you don't go, we can't even get our MPs to go through division lobbies to vote for our fracking plans. And so, how are we gonna maybe not avoid a general election like that?
Well, the only option surely is to at least go back to the manifesto commitments that they were making, because that was what was causing a huge rumble across the Conservative Party, was being asked to vote in a confidence vote in the Tory government to break a manifesto pledge that they had made. I mean, we didn't hear anything from Douglas Ross, obviously, despite the fact that in the 2021 Scottish Tory manifesto, it also pledged to oppose fracking. We didn't hear anything from him. He just went and merrily voted not to ban fracking.
Mm-hmm.
We need, really, there must be something on here. Another Tory taking over will just be more chaos. There's no unity candidate. They'll just be dogged by more and more accusations of having no mandate, even from within their own party. I mean,
but then it's probably easier for them to kind of govern as a lame duck administration for the next 2 years, maybe a year or whatever, and then just kind of die quietly for a while, go back into opposition and kind of regroup for a while. I think there's definitely a lot of people in the Tory party that would think that a time in opposition could probably do them some good after being in power for, since 2010.
Yeah. That was some really, really great spin that came out of the Scottish local elections earlier this year, was when the Tories were forced into opposition. I think it was in East Ayrshire, but I won't put money on that. And they said that they were happy to be in opposition for a while because they had a lot of new candidates elected, and they needed training up before they could take power. So it was actually probably best for the party. I think maybe the Tory party could do with some of that spin. They've got a lot of ministers that don't seem to have any clue whatsoever. So it'll probably be good for them to be shadow ministers for a while.
Yeah, they can build up a bit of experience and a bit of a portfolio.
Because, anyway, right, we need to sign off here because we can't just whittle on all day. But who knows? Who knows who will be Prime Minister by next weekend? Who knows who will be Chancellor or Home Secretary or Foreign Secretary? Who knows, literally?
Or whether any of these positions will continue to exist within a year's time, because anything's possible.
It's just appalling. We'll see what the Supreme Court has to say, won't we?
Yeah,
that's coming in 6 weeks or so. That'll be interesting if the UK government are forced into competing a independence referendum with this state. Right. Well, we will sign off there. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we will just have to wait and see what happens.
Also follow all of our latest updates on all this. The national.scot. We're also running a pay what you can subscription offer for the year. For a year.
Yes, for a year.
Pay what you can, and you get unlimited access to all of our premium articles, columnists, and analysis.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, everyone.